Ben Johnson looks to be the next head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. According to Ian Rappaport, the Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson has quickly emerged as a top head coaching candidate for the Raiders after interviewing yesterday. Now, the organization is said to be enamored with him. The Lions may be playing for a while and into the Super Bowl, and if in fact he is the Raiders' first choice, they are willing to wait, and Tom Brady's role with the Raiders has played a huge factor. Sources say that Tom Brady personally vouched for Ben Johnson and implored him to take the interview through his agent. Johnson spoke with them. Essentially, Brady recruited Johnson to interview.
Tom Brady has loomed incredibly large. Brady actually spent about an hour with his agent just talking things over, essentially recruiting Ben Johnson, giving him an idea of what Las Vegas would be like. My understanding is the organization is enamored with Ben Johnson.
Now, this is crazy news to kind of wake up to, because Ben Johnson seems to be the #1 guy on a lot of people's list, not only for the Raiders, but also other teams as well. He's going to be interviewing with more teams today on Saturday. But coming out of the Raiders interview, it looks like Mark Davis and Tom Brady are ready to make him the next head coach. Now, to add on to that, per Diana Rossini, she says that the Tom Brady factor in Las Vegas has given the Raiders an edge in attracting candidates they typically wouldn't land. His influence is a key draw, which is why coaches like Ben Johnson agreed to meet with them. To add on to that, Peter Schrager of Good Morning Football said that Ben Johnson to the Raiders is picking up way more steam in the past 48 hours. Now, this just proves a really big point in saying that, Tom Brady does have a big influence in our organization. I've said this before in my last video, that Tom Brady is either going to be the best thing that happened to the Las Vegas Raiders or the worst thing that happened to the Las Vegas Raiders. But one thing's for sure, going into this offseason, it's going to be a big offseason, especially with Tom Brady calling all the shots, helping Mark Davis out there call all the shots, getting the next head coach, getting the next GM, and getting the next quarterback for this franchise. And I feel like that was the main reason why the Raiders moved on from Tom Telesco, the main reason they moved on from Antonio Pierce. They wanted to have a clean slate. Tom Brady wanted to bring in his own guy and somebody that he believes can lead this team into a Super Bowl. I mean, if there's anybody that knows anything about Super Bowls, it's Tom Brady. So for the mere fact that, Tom Brady and Mark Davis came out of their meeting yesterday happy, I feel like Mark Davis is going to open up them pockets if they really want to get this guy. The only thing is that we have to wait on seeing how far the Lions going to go. I feel like the Lions could be a contender to the Super Bowl, but we'll have to wait and see. Once that is over with, I wouldn't be surprised if Tom Brady and Mark Davis goes out there, calls their shot, does whatever they want to make Ben Johnson the next head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. And it just shows that, having Tom Brady at the helm attracts people. Shout out to him, because I didn't really think that Ben Johnson was going to even give the Raiders his time, especially looking at the situation that we've had, looking at what we did to Antonio Pierce last season, and looking at our roster in general. It doesn't seem like the top spot to go at, outside of being in Las Vegas, outside of having the #6 overall pick, outside of having all the cap space going into free agency. I still felt like he wouldn't really be interested in the job. But Tom Brady being Tom Brady and making the calls just shows you that he's got a lot more pull than we all thought that he would. Now you look at Ben Johnson and his resume with the Detroit Lions. One of the main reasons why a lot of people are really excited or really interested in hiring him as the next head coach is the simple fact that he's turned that offense around in Detroit. Ever since taking over in 2022, the Detroit Lions have slowly risen to a franchise that can be contenders in the NFL, especially under a quarterback like Jared Goff, who a lot of people wrote off after he got traded to the Detroit Lions. And then when adding so many pieces to that offense and seeing how great the offense looks right now, going into the playoffs, who wouldn't want that for their team, especially here in Las Vegas, a team that has been struggling on the offensive side of the ball. But looking at this 2024 season, the Lions offense under Ben Johnson, the Detroit Lions has led in points per game with 33.2 and is second in yards per game with 409.5. He definitely has helped that Lions offense turn around, and those are numbers that Raider fans and this Raiders team can only dream of. Now I know a lot goes into that, having a sorry offensive coordinator like Luke Getsy, having a guy like AP, and even having quarterbacks like AOC and even Gardner Minshew. That's not going to get it done. But I believe that, Ben Johnson, if he was to come over here and have his say on a lot of things, bringing in his own OC, his own quarterback, and even going out and getting an offensive coordinator that can call shots, something more than, Luke Getsy. I mean, he doesn't even have to have somebody else. He could call the shots himself. But seeing that and seeing what the Raiders can do with a Ben Johnson, I know gets a lot of Raider fans excited. Now, to add on to all of this, I know head coaching hire is one thing, but getting a GM as well is another. Now, one of the main reasons, reports came out just yesterday that the main reason why the Raiders moved on from Tom Telesco, even though we all thought that his job was safe, is the simple fact that the team wanted a head coach and GM connection to align with Tom Brady. And that had me thinking of all the different GMs that could be aligned with potential candidates that we bring in to interview. Of course, we're talking about Lions offense coordinator Ben Johnson right now. So one person that I could see being the GM to align with, to connect with Ben Johnson if he was to get the job, is Commanders assistant GM Lance Newmark. I believe that he could be a name to really watch out for if the Raiders do hire Ben Johnson. Now, Lance Newmark recently joined the Commanders in 2024. He's helped that team go from 4-13 to 12-5 and into the playoffs. He's also had a lot of experience with the Lions, working 26 years. He's worked closely with Ben Johnson and even defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn. Those are two names that interview with the Raiders. So, like I said, if Ben Johnson does become the next head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders, look for Lance Newmark to be the GM. Now, overall, my thoughts on this whole thing is, I know Ben Johnson has been a name a lot of people have been talking about, even throughout the season. He's been a name that's been brought up a lot, and a lot of people have been thinking, if he does become available, the Raiders should go out and get him, even when Antonio Pierce was our head coach. But, as soon as the season started to go down and derail, his name got brought up a lot more. And I was one guy that wasn't really for getting another first-time head coach. I want to shy away from that, but I'm not going to lie. Ben Johnson has slowly been growing on me. The only reason why I don't want to get a first-time head coach, because we've been through this so many different times, and a lot of things don't work out. Now, I know the Raiders are also going to be interviewing veteran head coaches, people with experience. Pete Carroll is a name that's been brought up and is going to be one name that the Raiders are going to interview next week. You had in Robert Saleh, but, I really wanted Mike Vrabel. But as of right now, there has been no signs that the Raiders reached out for an interview. There's no interview in place, even with the relationship with Tom Brady. Who knows how that goes? But that's where my mindset was. I don't want to get a first-time head coach, but Ben Johnson, slowly looking at his resume and looking at how well he did in his interview and how much Tom Brady and Mark Davis likes him, he could possibly be what we all thought Josh McDaniels would be for the Raiders. He's an offensive-minded head coach that could help turn this offense around. And if he could do that, and if he could go into the offseason and find the right pieces, then I'm for it. But the big question is, will he come to the Las Vegas Raiders? I know he has a lot of other interviews out there that might sound a lot more enticing. But if Tom Brady does have a lot more pull than we all thought he would, then maybe, just maybe, he could be the next head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments below on Ben Johnson. Now, another candidate that slowly has emerged today and news has come out has been Coach Deion Sanders. Now, I know we've talked about this before, and a lot of people thought that this was out of the realm of possibility. But according to Vinny B in the place to be, he reported today that Colorado head coach Deion Sanders has a very strong interest in the Raiders head coaching gig. The person indicated that the NFL-connected associates of Sanders reached out to the Raiders to express Sanders' interest in the opening job. Now, this is definitely another bomb, because, Deion Sanders has once said that he wasn't really interested in coming to the NFL unless he was able to coach his sons. And looking at the Raiders' job right now, there's a strong possibility that could happen. And knowing that if there's any organization in the NFL for prime time outside of the Dallas Cowboys, I feel like the Las Vegas Raiders is one place that he wouldn't mind coming to and helping turn around. Now, I don't know how much of a say he does have into at least getting an interview with the Raiders. I don't know, even with the connection with Tom Brady and whatnot, if Tom Brady would even be interested in hiring or even giving Deion Sanders an interview. But crazier things have happened, and I can see a possibility where the Raiders do give him that chance. Now, with the fact that, I said that Deion Sanders would only come to the NFL if he was able to coach his son, and the Raiders right now, looking at the position with the 6th overall pick, I don't really see the Raiders getting Shedeur Sanders. But if he does come to the Las Vegas Raiders, there's no saying that, the Raiders can't move up and trade away some assets to go and get his son. I know Shiloh might be an undrafted free agent, so we don't have to worry about him. But to think that the Raiders head coaching job is starting to be something that a lot of people want, for the mere fact that Tom Brady is here and the mere fact that we're in Las Vegas, really makes me interested in the offseason. Now, is Deion Sanders one guy that I really want over here? No. But I could see the name value there. I could see all the hype there. And seeing what he did with the Colorado Buffaloes, I don't know if he would be able to do that in the NFL. I don't know if he'd be able to turn the the tide around over here, but I feel like there's so many other candidates that we could go in before we even think about primetime. But it is really interesting to even hear this news waking up today. So, you know, I wanted to ask you guys, Raider Nation, what do you guys think about this? What do you think about Ben Johnson being the next head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders? And what do you think about Deion Sanders? I know his name has a lot of value. I know that he's primetime, and you put Las Vegas and primetime together. That's a show to watch over here. But will that lead into wins? I don't know. Would you guys want to see a Shedeur Sanders, Deion Sanders pairing over here in Las Vegas? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, man. Hey, the offseason is just going to get crazier, man. And if you guys do enjoy this video, this is the very first time you come across this channel, man, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification icon button just to notify you guys when I upload more videos just like this. Until the next one, this is your boy, some more Raider and your boys. Yeah.